Hello, welcome to the Tim Booker channel. I wish you all an enjoyable listening experience. Today, the book I'm going to interpret for you is called Prisoners of Our Thoughts. Don't be fooled by the word thoughts in the title. This book is not about thinking frameworks or thought models. Instead, it delves into an emotional aspect, the quest for the meaning of life. Perhaps some of you may feel that the concept of life's meaning is too serious and distant from our daily lives. Most people don't constantly ponder the question of their life's purpose. However, there are at least 3 situations where you might strongly feel the need for meaning. The first situation is when you lack motivation. In times like these, meaning serves as an engine that ignites your drive. Let me share a story that many of you may have heard before. 3 construction workers were asked what they were doing. The first replied with a curt response, "Can't you see? We're building a wall." The second worker looked up and said with a smile, "We're constructing a tall building." But it was the third worker who was especially joyful and said with a beaming smile, "We are building a beautiful new city." You see, even though they were engaged in seemingly similar work, each of them found a different sense of purpose, which influenced their motivation. Another situation where you need meaning is when you find yourself in a life slump. Meaning acts as a parachute that enables you to land safely when facing a rapid descent. Take, for instance, the story of Christopher Reeve, the actor who portrayed the earliest version of Superman. In 1995, he had an accident while participating in a horse race, which left him paralyzed. Despite this setback, in his autobiography titled, Still Me, Reeve wrote, "I think a hero is an ordinary individual who finds the strength to persevere and endure in spite of overwhelming obstacles." You see, when life throws us into a terrible downward spiral, meaning helps us land safely, preventing us from hitting rock bottom. Apart from being an engine and a parachute, meaning also serves as a compass during pivotal moments in life when we face important choices. For example, the author of this book, Alex, faced a difficult decision upon graduating from university. Should he follow his father's arrangement for a relatively comfortable job or pursue a challenging and personally fulfilling career? Alex chose to stick to his own path, knowing what he wanted and what he didn't. Even though he had many heated arguments with his father, he believed that taking such risks and making efforts were worthwhile. You see, injecting meaning into our lives at crucial crossroads helps us stay focused on our life's purpose. So, the question arises, how do we find the meaning of life? It may sound simple to talk about it, but it's challenging to put into practice. This is where today's book comes in, and we have to mention another book called Man's Search for Meaning, and its author, Viktor Frankl. Who was Viktor Frankl? He was the founder of logotherapy, a method that helps people positively face life and strive for meaning. Born on March 26, 1905, in Vienna, Austria, Frankl displayed an extraordinary curiosity from a young age. While other children were busy playing, he pondered the question, what is the meaning of life? In his memoir, Frankl recalled how, at the age of 3, he would set aside several minutes each day to contemplate this profound question. By the age of 16, he delivered his first public speech titled, The Meaning of Life. At the age of 19, he published his first paper in the International Journal of Psychoanalysis. From 1930 to 1937, Frankl worked as a psychiatric specialist at the University of Vienna Clinic, helping patients find meaning in their lives. Everything seemed to be going well until the outbreak of World War II. As a Jewish person, Frankl and his family were arrested in September 1932. He spent the next 3 years enduring the harsh realities of imprisonment in various concentration camps, including Auschwitz. Throughout this ordeal, Frankl's wife, parents, and brother perished, unable to bear the horrors of camp life. Despite such immense suffering, Frankl transcended the despair that overwhelms most people and, after the war's end in 1945, wrote Man's Search for Meaning in just 9 days. This book laid the foundation for logotherapy, a therapy aimed at helping people discover the purpose in their lives. Man's Search for Meaning has since influenced generations of individuals and was recognized by the United States Library of Congress as one of the 10 most influential books in America. Alright, earlier, we introduced the book Man's Search for Meaning and its author, Frankl. Now, let's shift our focus back to today's book. The authors of this book are devoted readers of Man's Search for Meaning, and throughout their lives, during many crucial moments, they have attempted to meet life and work challenges using Frankl's ideas. They can be considered true practitioners of the logotherapy. Not only that, they have also conducted in-depth research on Frankl's teachings. In 1996, Alex visited Frankl's home and proposed the idea of writing a follow-up book that applies all the methods presented in Man's Search for Meaning to real-life and workplace situations. When Frankl heard this, he was thrilled and encouraged Alex to go ahead and write the book. This led to the creation of the book, The Prisoners of Our Thoughts, which summarizes Frankl's theories into 7 core principles and uses them to guide our work and life, helping us find the meaning of life. You may feel that the concept of meaning is abstract, but after hearing these 7 principles, you'll realize their practical effectiveness. Though there are 7 principles, they are closely interconnected logically. You don't need to memorize the specific number 7. Let's take it step by step, following the logical thread from how to find the meaning of life to rediscovering it after facing difficulties and setbacks. Alright, let's officially begin. First, let's talk about how to find the meaning of one's life. As we mentioned earlier, meaning is a subjective experience. In other words, it's not something we predetermine through logical thinking or deliberate planning, like deciding, I want to do this and that's the meaning of my life. Such pre-designed meanings may not be authentic or fulfilling. On the contrary, meaning arises from real-life experiences, from the collisions with the genuine world. So, the first step in discovering meaning is to continually collide with life and the real world. During these collisions, record the genuine feelings that arise in those moments. Remember, the key is not to record data or specific actions, but rather to record your emotions. Identify the moments during the process where you feel the best or worst. Note down those moments of heightened emotions, both positive and negative. Then, contemplate why those moments evoke such feelings and what they reflect about you. In essence, don't just focus on the end result of an action, look within the process and your experiences to find its meaning. For example, consider a group of people going mountain climbing. Some might find the most beautiful moment at the foot of the mountain, seeing their climbing companions. That's when they feel the happiest. For them, the meaning of mountain climbing might be about making friends and socializing. On the other hand, some climbers might find the best moment during the process of climbing, being ahead of others and ultimately reaching the summit, leaving others behind. That victorious feeling might be the ultimate meaning of mountain climbing for them. Then, there are others who feel the most wonderful moment during the climb is when they pass through the middle of the mountain, gazing at the distant city and admiring the scenery. For them, the meaning of mountain climbing lies in connecting with nature. You see, the same activity of mountain climbing evokes different meanings for different people. From this perspective, meaning is truly practical and grounded. It cannot be something imagined out of thin air, it has to arise from real collisions with life, genuine connections with others, and the process of solving real problems. Alright, let's get started. Once we've found meaning, the next step becomes evident. We need to focus on our life's main direction. This idea is clear to everyone, so we won't dwell on it further. The previous discussion corresponds to 2 principles from the book, discovering moments of meaning in life and achieving meaningful goals. Moving on, let's address another question that arises. Even if we have discovered the meaning of our life and set our goals, what should we do when we encounter difficulties and setbacks during the journey of achieving them? Many people face this dilemma. For instance, a long-term relationship might end, or despite one's hard work, they get laid off from their job. Alternatively, a project proposal crafted after sleepless nights might get rejected by the superiors. Such frustrating events are unavoidable in many people's lives. So, how should we handle these situations? While it's common knowledge to look on the bright side, most individuals inevitably vent their frustrations. Over time, this habit may lead us to adopt a negative mindset toward work and life, causing us to feel victimized and helpless, unable to break free. However, the author reminds us that we always have the freedom to choose our attitude. We can opt for a negative attitude or a positive one. The responsibility for choosing our attitude lies solely with us, we cannot shift this responsibility to others. Upon first hearing this, it might sound like a cliché, but many self-help phrases often lack actionable solutions, leading us to consider them mere platitudes. However, fear not, for this book does provide us with many practical methods. One such method is the Top 10 Positive Results exercise. First, identify a high-stress, highly negative, and challenging life or work situation. Write down the potential or already obtained positive outcomes that may arise from this situation. Please note, you are not writing down negative results but rather the positive results that may come from this challenging state. The book mentions 10 positive results, but the specific number, 10, is not crucial. The key is to find the positive aspect and write down as many as you can think of. Let's consider a scenario many young people might have experienced, a breakup. At first glance, a breakup seems rather saddening. However, upon deeper reflection, can it bring about even the tiniest positive results? For instance, 1. Not needing to maintain constant contact afterward may lead to a more regular life. 2. The relationship with family and loved ones might grow closer. 3. Suddenly, there's plenty of time to do things you've always wanted but never had the time for. 4. It could lead to self-reflection and the realization of immature behavior in the relationship. 5. Some may find that their emotions stabilize and mature after going through such an experience. You see, even in a sad event like a breakup, there can be several positive results. Alright, that's the first method, called the Top 10 Positive Results exercise. Next, let's talk about the second method, self-ridicule. In simple terms, it means making fun of oneself. At first glance, this method might seem somewhat casual, but from a psychological perspective, self-ridicule is an effective way to view oneself from a third-party perspective. It involves examining oneself from a distance, adopting an observer's attitude towards oneself. For example, there was a reality show abroad that conducted a fascinating experiment. They had celebrities recite jokes that mocked themselves or said negative things about themselves. Surprisingly, after each person did this, they didn't get angry but instead laughed heartily. This demonstrates the power of self-ridicule as a means to release emotions and lighten the atmosphere. The third method is called the contradictory intention method. Simply put, it means going against the usual reaction. Sometimes, a person's actions or mindset don't depend on their current state, but rather on the overall trend they are experiencing. In other words, regardless of the situation, you can create a slightly positive upward trend for yourself. This is especially helpful when facing difficulties. For instance, when you encounter a difficult situation, consider imagining that things could be even worse, taking a step further from your current condition. By doing this, you reach a point where it can't get any worse. Then, whatever happens from there, it will only lead to improvements. This helps you feel like you are making progress, boosting your confidence in overcoming challenges and becoming better. This method has been studied and proven by prominent psychologists, such as the aforementioned Frankl. He had a patient who worked as a clerk, similar to a secretary, and suffered from a condition called writer's cramp. Whenever he picked up a pen to write, his hand would spasm, causing pain. As the condition worsened, he feared losing his job. After trying many remedies to no avail, he felt utterly desperate and considered suicide. At this point, he sought Frankl's advice. Frankl suggested adopting a contradictory intention. Instead of thinking of himself as a writer, he should imagine himself as a doodler, intentionally scribbling abstract and messy lines. By doing this, the man created a mindset where things couldn't get any worse. Surprisingly, he found that he could write relatively neatly again. In essence, the contradictory intention method uses the exaggeration of fear to overcome fear. It allows individuals to face their deepest fears and place themselves in the worst possible scenarios mentally. As a result, when they confront real challenges, they feel a sense of progress and improvement. Additionally, this method can be applied to treat insomnia. For those who have excessive anxiety about falling asleep, instead of focusing on trying to sleep, they should intentionally tell themselves to stay awake and delay sleep until they are incredibly tired. This contradictory approach will reduce their pre-sleep anxiety and help them fall asleep faster. To summarize, the contradictory intention method, or the don't take it seriously principle, helps us confront life's difficulties and hardships rather than avoid them through the creation of an upward trend even in challenging situations. It encourages us to face our fears and problems with a positive mindset. Alright, next, let's talk about the last method mentioned in the book, daring to transcend oneself. This phrase may sound like a cliché, but the author believes that many people have a misunderstanding about what it means to transcend oneself. We often assume that surpassing oneself means doing better than before in a particular activity. For example, running 10 kilometers today and aiming to run 20 kilometers tomorrow, then even faster the day after. However, the author suggests that true self-transcendence involves expanding the breadth and depth of one's life in different ways. It means broadening one's life experiences and finding opportunities to have a greater impact. In other words, living as a bigger version of oneself. For example, a famous tennis player named Andrea Jaeger, during her time participating in tennis tournaments, took time to visit hospitals around the world to see sick children. After retiring from tennis, she dedicated her life to terminally ill children, creating opportunities for them to experience the beauty of life beyond hospital rooms. She even established a foundation and built a hope farm. When asked how she wanted people to remember her, she selflessly replied that she didn't need people to remember her, she hoped they would remember those children instead. The concept of self-transcendence is not limited to staying focused on one's previous field of expertise but seeking ways to help others and expand the dimension and value of one's life. Another example is the author of the book, Frankl himself. He summarized the meaning of his life in a single sentence written on a piece of paper, and when asked by his students what he had written, one of them surprisingly replied, "Your life's meaning lies in helping others find their meaning in life." Frankl confirmed that the student's answer was spot on. In essence, the concept of meaning is not an isolated point, it is a web, a product emerging from the interconnectedness between individuals. The author emphasizes that we may have discussed the purpose of meaning and how to find it, but we haven't given it a logical definition. However, according to the author's perspective, we need not pursue a definitive abstract definition of the meaning of life. As Frankl put it, every person has their unique mission, something that cannot be replaced by others, and life can't be replayed. Thus, each person's life task is specific, and the opportunities to fulfill these tasks are also unique. Therefore, meaning varies for each individual, and there is no absolute correct answer, only the one that suits you. Nonetheless, the author and Frankl do not deny the existence of ultimate meaning. There's a useful metaphor to explain this: when you watch a movie, it consists of thousands of individual scenes, each with its unique meaning. However, until you see the final scene, the ultimate meaning of the entire movie remains undetermined. Understanding the meaning of each scene is crucial to grasping the overall meaning of the film. Similarly, the ultimate meaning of life is something we may not fully comprehend until the very end. Here, we have concluded the essence of the book, Prisoner of Thinking, for you. Why is this book titled, Prisoner of Thinking? By now, we can probably guess that it refers to how we habitually approach life and work with a negative mindset, believing we lack the ability to change, which essentially imprisons our minds, depriving us of the freedom of choice. To find the meaning of life, we must break free from this self-imposed confinement and no longer be prisoners of our own thoughts. In summary, let's see how we can use the principles mentioned in this book to find the meaning of life. 1. To find meaning, it is not about creating or imagining it, rather, it comes from real-life experiences and interactions with the genuine world. 2. When focusing on the main thread of life, if faced with challenges and hardships, consider whether these experiences could potentially lead to positive outcomes. Additionally, try the contradiction-intention technique, where you think about the worst-case scenario. Once you confront this bottom point, you will realize that there is nothing to fear within yourself. 3. A crucial point is to place our lives within the broader context of society, living life on a grander scale. This is what true self-transcendence means. Today, we conclude our discussion of this book. We welcome you to share it with friends around you, especially those who are entering the workforce or reaching middle age, as this book can be genuinely effective. Thank you for your support and attention. Please subscribe to the Tim Booker channel, like the video, and share this valuable knowledge with your friends. Let us combine wisdom with practice, achieve our financial goals, and create a brighter future together.